Hey guys, it's me, Anthony, and it's the time of the week again. It's Anthony's NFL Picks. Week 2. Right. Can't believe we just started and now we're already in the second week jumping in for the 2024-25 NFL season already. Not even. And so far, I'm doing way better than I did last year. Because I think last season at this time I was 8-8. This time I'm 12-4. I did a very good job yesterday. I knew the Jets were going to lose against the Niners, but the 49ers, however, didn't have Christian McCaffrey. But Jordan Mason did an amazing job filling in for McCaffrey, and they ended up winning the game 32-19. But anyway, enough with all that stuff. And please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bells to get updated on my newest content. But anyways, let's get started and jump right in with Week 2 picks. Coming up to start Week 2, we got an AFC East matchup between the 1-0 Bills and the 1-0 Dolphins. The Bills are here after almost blowing that game to Arizona. They were literally losing 17-3. However, they came back and won the game 34-28. They're going to Miami against the Dolphins, who somehow beat the Jaguars 20-17. They were losing 17-7, and Tyreek Hill actually ended up getting arrested before the game. However, he ran for 80 yards and scored that touchdown, and they came back and won the game. But to be honest, it's in Miami, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins. I think Miami is going to beat Buffalo, but it's going to be a close game, though. Dolphins will beat the Bills 24-17. Dolphins will be 2-0. The Bills will be 1-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-0 Niners and the 1-0 Vikings. The Niners are here after having an amazing night yesterday at their home stadium, completely embarrassing Aaron Rodgers, his second debut, because his first debut tore his Achilles last season, but his real debut, he got blown out because Aaron Rodgers can never beat the Niners, because it's like a weird theory that Aaron Rodgers, it's a whole story. But however, Minnesota somehow beat the Giants to death 28-6. With Sam Darnold because the Giants suck. But to be honest, I think the Niners are going to hold on, and I think they're going to beat down Minnesota because the Niners have a lot more weapons. McCaffrey had that calf injury. Kind of rhymed, but not funny. But still, I don't know if McCaffrey's coming back, but if he does come back, I think they're going to torch Minnesota to the ground. It's in Minnesota, though, but I think the Niners are going to win. 49ers will beat the Vikings 29-13. The 49ers will be 2-0. The Vikings will be 1-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-0 Seahawks and the 1-0 Patriots. The Seahawks are here after coming back to who was losing to Denver, actually, 13-9.5. Geno Smith was doing good, but Bo Nix is also looking good, but we'll get to him later. However, they're going to be in New England against the shockingly 1-0 Patriots, who completely upset Cincinnati, mainly because T. Higgins was out, and Jamar Chase is not having a contract dispute in Cincinnati, which kind of threw them off. They were at home, though, the Bengals, and they lost 16-10 over the Patriots, coached by Gerard Mayo, and Jacoby Brissett was starting. But to be honest, I don't think they're going to beat Seattle because Seattle is way better. And Geno Smith's looking great, and Mike McDonald as a head coach is looking pretty well. Just for one game, though, but we got to see what the rest is. I think Seattle's going to take this win and beat down the Patriots. Seahawks will beat the Patriots 30-20. The Seahawks will be 2-0. The Patriots will be 1-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got an NFC East matchup between the 0-1 Giants and my 0-1 Commanders. And it's a battle between my dad's team and my team. So the Giants are here after completely just exploding and losing to Minnesota 28-6. Daniel Jones looked completely and utterly terrible. I think they're going to get Carson Beck in the draft because he's not the answer they're looking for. However, I can't say the same for my Commanders. Jaden Daniels made his debut. They didn't win over the Buccaneers. We lost 37-20. But I'm not mad, actually, because the Buccaneers are a way better team, and we were in Tampa Bay. We lost, so. But Jaden Daniels hopefully will be good. Hopefully he doesn't become RG3. We still got Austin Eckler now from the Chargers in the offseason, and we also got Scary Terry. However, I think the Giants are going to beat us, even though it's in D.C. The Giants always find ways. Daniel Jones looks like Patrick Mahomes against us, so I'm thinking the Giants are going to take this win over Washington. Giants will upset my Commanders, unfortunately. 19-14, the Giants will be 1-1. The Commanders will be 0-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-0 Chargers and the 0-1 Panthers. Chargers are here after shockingly beating the Raiders 22-10. Jim Harbaugh is looking very good, and I think they're going to continue that because they're taking on the 0-1 Panthers, who got completely torched by the Saints 47-10. Man, Bryce Young looks like a complete bust. He's going to probably be working someplace, probably at a McDonald's by like week 6. There's whole memes about it. Bryce Young is terrible. He is completely and utterly terrible because, David Tepper is a pretty bad owner. That's still the most dumbest trade I have ever witnessed as an NFL fan. But I think the Chargers are going to completely dismantle the Panthers. There's no way around it. Chargers will beat the Panthers 26-7. The Chargers will be 1-1, not 1-1, 2-0. The Panthers will be 0-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-0 Saints and the 1-0 Cowboys. The Saints are here after completely destroying Carolina because the Panthers are just the Panthers, 47-10. However, I don't think that they're going to be, doing too great because they're taking on the Cowboys, who completely knocked out the Browns 33-17. Completely and utterly walked all over them. It was a complete wreck. The Browns were just looking pretty bad. Deshaun Watson was rusty. They still didn't have Nick Chubb, but we'll get to them later. The Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott made his debut back after being with the Patriots, and he did a pretty good job. And so did Jake Ferguson, who got knocked out of the game. But I think the Cowboys are going to win. It's an AT&T Stadium. It's an easy win. I think they're going to beat them, and I think Dennis Allen may lose his job as the Saints head coach by the end of this season or the midseason, depending on how bad they are. The Cowboys will beat the Saints 31-23. Cowboys will be 2-0. The Saints will be 1-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-1 Colts and the 0-1 Packers. Colts are here after losing a very close game against that Texans team, 29-27. However, they're going to be in Green Bay against the 0-1 Packers, who got completely torched at Brazil against the Eagles. Saquon Barkley did very good against them, 34-29. However, Jordan Love is out for 3 to 6 weeks with a very bad MCL injury, which is going to be bad for Green Bay, and that's going to cause them a lot of issues. They're in last place right now because the Bears, Vikings, and Lions won. But I'm thinking that the Colts are going to take this win because Anthony Richardson looks very good. Jonathan Taylor looked great. I'm thinking Indianapolis is going to pull off a win because the Packers are still kind of banged up. Colts will beat the Packers 21-10. Colts will be 1-1. Packers will be 0-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-1 Browns and the 0-1 Jaguars. Browns are here after getting completely humiliated by the Cowboys at home. Deshaun Watson was rusty, and they have a lot of injuries still. Nick Chubb is still going to be out until October, which is a huge letdown for Cleveland. On the other hand, the Jaguars completely are here after just getting knocked out by Miami, blowing that game. They looked completely and utterly terrible. But I think Jacksonville is going to win this game because the Jaguars are at home, and I think they're going to regroup and beat down the Browns. It'll be a close game, though, but I think Jacksonville will win. Jaguars will beat the Browns 22-19. Jaguars will be 1-1. The Browns will be 0-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-1 Jets and the 0-1 Titans. Battle of the 0-1s all day. All this week, they're 0-1 teams. But this one's another one. The Jets are here after completely losing to the 49ers 32-19. Scorigami, actually. Aaron Rodgers was winning the game 7-3 when I went to bed. And then Jordan Mason went completely ballistic and completely torched them down. They completely just fell apart. They lost. However, they're going to be in Tennessee against the Titans, who blew a 17-0 lead against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. They completely got walked all over. That Bear defense bailed them out that game, and the Titans completely just fell apart. Will Levis is looking really bad. But to be honest, I'm thinking that the Jets are going to pull off this win and beat down the Titans. Jets will beat the Titans 35-24. The Jets will be 1-1. Titans will be 0-2. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 2023 NFC Divisional Round rematch against the 1-0 Buccaneers and the 1-0 Lions. The Buccaneers, they played very well. They had a very good game against the Commanders, unfortunately. I'm a Commanders fan. It sucks, but they're going to be in Detroit against the Lions, who almost lost that game to the Rams in overtime. They were winning 17-3. Then after that, they were, tied at 20, and then they won the touchdown game 26-20 in overtime, which was a huge, huge red flag for the Lions. But they're back at home at Ford Field. I think it's going to be an easy win. I think Detroit is going to start off 2-0 and completely beat down the Buccaneers. Lions will beat the Buccaneers 36-29. Lions will be 2-0. The Buccaneers will be 1-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-1 Raiders and the 0-1 Ravens. God, a lot of 0-1s today. These two teams are here from losses, right? The Raiders are here after leading the Chargers for a little while and completely blowing the game 22-10. Antonio Pierce did not make a very smart decision about, not going down for it and punting the game because they could have won that game though. But still, they're taking on the Ravens, who completely lost to Kansas City due to Xavier Worthy just going all over the place. They just could not be stopped. That whole Chiefs team is just unbelievable, but I think Derrick Henry is going to be, redeeming himself. They're in Baltimore. I think this is an easy win over them, so I think the Ravens will completely just walk all over the Raiders. Ravens will beat the Raiders 27-13. Ravens will be 1-1. The Raiders will be 0-2. We move on with the next game. And coming up at our next game, we got an NFC West matchup and the battle of the 0-1 teams between the 0-1 Rams and the 0-1 Cardinals. Rams are here on Sunday night after losing that game against the Lions in overtime. Matthew Stafford is still doing good, and Aaron Donald's doing pretty good still, even though he retired. They're still trying to move on from the post-Aaron Donald era, and they still got Jared Verse, who's a rookie. However, the Rams are in some trouble because Puka Nacua, however, is going to be missing 4 games with a bad MCL sprain, which is a huge letdown for the Rams. But they still got Cooper Kupp. They got Kieran Williams. They still look pretty good, though. But they're going to Arizona against the Cardinals, who played pretty good against Buffalo. Kyler Murray's looking pretty well. But to be honest, I think the Rams could still win this game because the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a very hard time because he kind of fumbled the ball in Buffalo. But I think that the Rams are going to redeem themselves and claim themselves victorious over those Cardinals. Rams will beat the Cardinals 30-21. Rams will be 1-1. Cardinals will be 0-2. We move on with the next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 0-1 Bengals and the 1-0 Chiefs, the battle of the conference championship games for 2 years in a row in 2021 and 2022. The Bengals are here after getting completely steamrolled over by the Patriots, losing that game somehow with Jacoby Brissett starting. He made Jacoby Brissett look like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or whatever. The Bengals are not looking too great. Jamar Chase doesn't want to stay. T. Higgins was hurt. We don't know if he's coming back, to be honest. But that Bengals team is going to be not too great. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I don't care what people say about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a very good quarterback. However, he doesn't have weapons. Joe Mixon's gone. Tyler Boyd is gone. That whole Bengals team just released a lot of players. Then that's a huge, huge letdown. But they're going to be in Kansas City, which is no way they're going to win that because the Chiefs are here after that 27-20 tight win over the Ravens. Xavier Worthy made a very good appearance of himself, just going completely bonkers. Mahomes, I think the Chiefs are going to three-peat this season, and because of that, it's in Kansas City, so I'm thinking Kansas City is going to probably take that close win. Chiefs will beat the Bengals 23-16. Chiefs will be 2-0. The Bengals will be 0-2. We move on with the next game. Coming up at our next game, we got the 1-0 Steelers and the 0-1 Broncos. The Steelers are here after scoring no touchdowns and 6 field goals against the Falcons, winning that game 18-10. Kirk Cousins did not look good, but we'll get to him later. Justin Fields was starting because apparently Russell Wilson hurt himself with his shoulder or something, but he did okay. To be honest, they were kind of losing. It was back and forth, but the Steelers held victorious. They were deemed victorious over them. So, however, they're going to be in Denver against the Broncos with Bo Nix doing an amazing job. However, they completely lost to Seattle, losing that game 26-20. But Bo Nix looked very good, to be honest. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, and he's going to probably break out this season. Probably going to get Rookie of the Year or Jaden Daniels, hopefully, knock on wood. But I think the Steelers are going to hold on and beat down the Broncos. Because I think, if Justin Fields plays great and, or either Russell Wilson or whatever. But, however, they have a bit of a problem with the wide receiver because George Pickens was, not doing too great against Atlanta. But I still think Pittsburgh could hold on to a win, I think. I think they're going to beat Denver. However, it's in Mile High. But, to be honest, I may change my mind, but I'm going to go with an upset of the week. I think Denver will beat the Steelers, actually. And I think they're going to take them. Broncos will beat the Steelers 20-17. The Broncos will be 1-1, and the Steelers will be 1-1. We move on with our next game. Coming up at our next game for Sunday Night Football, it's a pretty good game, actually, between the 1-0 Bears and the 1-0 Texans. The Bears are here after making a 24 unanswered point comeback against the Titans with that special Bear defense just completely smothering them in the second half. Caleb Williams, he looked okay. He was kind of struggling in the beginning, but however, that defense carried him. However, I don't know if that's going to help them out against the Texans, who completely almost lost against the Colts. I said the Colts were going to upset the Texans, But I was kind of wrong because they were in Indianapolis, but the Texans are back at home at NRG Stadium in Houston. And it's going to be a good game, though, against, Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud. I think the Texans are going to hold on and become 2-0 this season. Texans will beat the Bears 31-28. Texans will be 2-0. The Bears will be 1-1. We move on to the next game. And last but not least for this week, we got the 0-1 Falcons and the 1-0 Eagles. The Falcons are here after losing against the Steelers. Kirk Cousins did not do a great job debuting with himself. He was just not that great. However, they're going to be in Lincoln Financial against the 1-0 Eagles, who completely beat Green Bay in Brazil. To be honest, I know who's going to win this game. I think it's going to be Philadelphia by a score of 30-14. Eagles will beat them 30-14. The Eagles will be 2-0. The Falcons will be 0-2. Not a great start for the Kirk Cousins era. Maybe Penix could be starting. I don't know. And that is it for this week, everybody. These are all my NFL picks for week 2. And also, be sure to stay tuned for Anthony's NFL picks week 3, which will be premiering next Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Other than that, this is Anthony signing off, and have a great week.